Okay, these are people who are based there.
Okay.
Good evening, Sharmila.
Hi.
Hi, Kiran.
Hello, Kiran.
How are you? All well?
All well. All well.
Join you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Shweta Churamani, Executive Director of American Friends of Helpage India, and I'm based out of New Jersey, United States. Wherever you are joining us from today, whether it's morning or still evening where you are, thank you for making the time. Today's conversation is called Aging with Dignity Rooted in Home. It's a theme that means something different to each of us. But I suspect if you are in this room, it's touched your life directly. A parent, a grandparent, someone you love who is growing older, often far from where you now live. I'm honored to start us off by introducing someone who has spent years thinking about exactly this distance, the one between generosity abroad and dignity for our elders back home. Pramod Bhasin is a veteran corporate leader and the founder of GenPact, and he serves as board chair of American Friends of Helpage India. He's based out of Delhi. Please join me in welcoming Pramod. Over to you, Pramod.
Thank you very much, Shweta. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I wanted to welcome all our listeners as well as our key guests that we have here who will be talking about HelpAge and the associated issues and asking for your help on this page right here. As Shweta has said, tonight's framing is aging with dignity and rooted in home. I have had the privilege of being part of HelpAge on the governing body for 9 years, and then setting up American Friends of HelpAge in America as a conduit, really, to have the diaspora be able to help the cause of the aged and the aging populations in India. Kiran Karnik, our chairperson at HelpAge, is also here. I'm going to hand over to him in a few minutes for a few words from him. But before that, HelpAge represents, in my view, one of the finest NGOs anywhere in the world. We have a very large population of elderly in India, over 160 million, and rising as the demographics of India change. A vast majority of them are underprivileged in some fashion or the other. They may be underprivileged in terms of health. They may be underprivileged in terms of economic empowerment or well-being. They are certainly often underprivileged in terms of loneliness and isolation. Too often, families feel that they're not productive enough, especially poorer families which can't afford them, and throw them out or churn them away from their homes. Even in other homes, even in our cities, while we have this wonderful experience very often in Indian households of how parents are looked after by their children and grandchildren, the fact is there is a growing preponderance of parents, elderly grandparents, who are left isolated and alone. I'm delighted to be here. I'm speaking to you from New York. I've spent a large part of my life working and living here. I live in Delhi now, but I'm delighted to be here because one of the main causes for this effort of American Friends of HelpAge is to be able to connect with the Indian diaspora here, not just the Indian diaspora, but foundations, alliances, other philanthropic alliances that we have, institutions that we have, to be able to take this cause directly to their heart. All of us sitting and living and working in the US have parents, siblings, relatives in India. Many of them need help in some fashion or the other. If they don't need help directly, many of us are very familiar with the cause of the elderly in India. The range of areas that HelpAge in India works in is truly astonishing. We have over 150 mobile health units. We run HelpAge homes. We run self-help groups. We run cataract surgery experiments. Kiran and Rohit, who's here, who's our director at HelpAge, will get into those areas more. I will say it is probably the finest NGO of its kind, certainly in India, if not beyond. Its work is impactful. Its work is efficient. It's done with enormous dedication across every district and every community in India. We are represented in all the major states, and therefore we have the ability to reach out with approximately 1,200 employees. We have the ability to reach out to all the states and districts that we need to be able to help the cause of the elderly. I'm here to represent American Friends of HelpAge. Shweta is our director. We have the ability to ask you for your generous contributions and support. And through that, we're able to help HelpAge in India itself to be able to raise funds for them for programs which are enormously necessary. Today, we reach out to say 2 to 3 million people annually. Kiran will correct me, and Rohit will correct me, I'm sure, because they will say, no, that number has doubled since I've known it. But the fact is, we should reach out to 15 to 20 million people annually. The need is huge. In times of distress, in times of floods, in times of drought, in times of climate change issues, we constantly run into a huge need. Well, the elderly are left to fend for themselves, and they can't. The programs that HelpAge runs are extremely effective. We've been around, HelpAge has been around for years, decades. In fact, a large portion of Indians' population is very familiar with the little envelopes that used to come through the doors delivered by school children to collect funds for the organization. That has been a unique hallmark. And so wherever I travel in India, I would always find people who know HelpAge one way or the other. We're here to touch the hearts and lives of these people, of people who are very familiar to us in terms of the way we've grown up. We've seen the elderly, we've seen our grandparents. At this point, a few of us, like Kiran, myself, a few others, are grandparents or hoping to be grandparents. I know Sharmila ji is certainly a grandparent very proudly. But I think when we think about the vast number of elderly across India, they need our help. It is a fantastic cause, and I hope you will be able to help us as we go forward. Shweta, I'm going to turn it back to you. Actually, Kiran, may I turn it to you, please, for a few words from you? Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod. Greetings to all. I join you from India. This is the monsoon in India. And as I spend a few days in Goa, it's an amazing sight to see the rain come in over the Arabian Sea and hit the coast and provide its plentiful rains, nourishing the parched land, feeding agricultural fields, filling up the reservoirs. In many ways, the bounty of nature, so wonderful and long awaited, especially after a searing summer. At the same time, though, this is the same season of the year when we see floods, when we see landslides, and when we see very sadly and unfortunately millions of people suffering, tens, sometimes hundreds, dying because of one cause or the other due to heavy rains, landslides, floods, a host of problems that the monsoon brings along with its bounty. In all this, it's the elders who tend to suffer the most. They have poor mobility. They're the last to be able to get the support that they need. And even otherwise, in a fixed setting where they're comfortable, they have a host of problems. And as Pramod mentioned, there are now 160 million plus of them in India, 10% of the population. In 2 decades, that number will grow to somewhere around 350 million, almost 20% of the population. India is amidst a huge demographic transition. Indeed, the world is going through a transition in some ways, but India has seen it happening very, very rapidly. We've seen the kind of total fertility rate, which measures the growth rate of the population, drop dramatically. It's now below the replacement rate of 2.1. It's around 1.9. And so we're going to see a lot more elders in the years to come. These elders have, as I said, a host of challenges. Pramod mentioned some of them, but there are also possibilities of their being an asset. They are an asset, and the challenge is as much as the opportunity. The opportunity is huge. We see this all the time. Even as we provide a host of services to them, we see what they could become. We see this in our self-help groups. We see this in the community service that many of them provide, even as they draw from the community. We see this in how they nourish their own households, with culture, with stories, with upbringing, with values, most important. And yet, these elders are sometimes neglected, sometimes forgotten, very often lonely, and sometimes, very sadly, fortunately in rare cases, even subject to various kinds of abuse. This is what we try to counter through all our work in Helpage. We look at what's happening around us and see how can we help. How can we work with the elders, not just for them, and jointly with them, their families, and the community, do something that takes them forward as we move on. In many ways, the growth in the number of elders is a success. It's a great success story. Life expectancy has increased. It's brought those challenges, as I said, but it's also an opportunity. This success, it's for us now to see how we can transform it by not only extending life, but by making life better. As the cliche goes, it's not putting years into your life, but it's putting life into your years. As they grow older, what can we do to make their lives more fulfilling, more purposeful, more active, more connected? Digital exclusion is a new challenge. Pramod mentioned technology. We're trying to use a great deal of it within Helpage for our own purposes, to increase efficiency, to provide better delivery, but also to provide completely new services. There are things like telehealth. There are things like health diagnostics, which combine the latest technology with artificial intelligence, and a whole host of other things which I won't mention. My colleague, the CEO of Rohit Prasad, will tell you a little more about some of the things we are doing. I just wanted to share with you the fact that we see challenges, but we also see huge opportunities. To do all this, we need support. We are getting a great deal of support from a lot of donors, well-wishers, philanthropists, foundations from India. We are looking to friends in the US, people whom, as Pramod so rightly mentioned, have strong connections with India, sometimes family, most of them family. Many others have connections that are different. They're corporate connections, they're foundation connections. They're just tug of heart connections. You visited India and seen something and said, wow, I wish I could do something here to better their life. We are here both to provide you that opportunity and, more importantly, to seek your support for the cause of the elders in ways beyond mere monetary contributions. But I must say, monetary contributions are welcome. But we see support for much more than that. We want you to espouse the cause of the elders along with us so that they live a better life as we move ahead. Thank you very much, Pramod and Shweta. From HelpAge India, I want to, on behalf of all my colleagues on the board and the team, say we are indeed grateful for all the help we are getting already from the US. Pramod has been playing a sterling role in this, and now Shweta has come on board to help it along. And I'm looking forward to all of you in the US to join us in this effort to see how do we make life better and more fulfilling for the elders in India. Thank you.
Back to you, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Kiran. We'll go ahead with a small video about introducing about HelpAge India, and then we'll take forward with the conversation between Pramod and Sharmila ji. Thank you, Vishnu. I would now invite Pramod to introduce Sharmila ji and take forward the conversation for the morning and evening in India.
Good morning again, everyone. Such a pleasure yet again to be able to talk to you, particularly, with the task I have ahead of me to have a discussion and a chat with the wonderful, amazing, admirable Sharmila Tagore. I was on the flight this time coming in to New York. And of course, what pops up on the flight is, reference to the Apu trilogy, the Satyajit Ray dialogues, the films that were, the music, which was Ravi Shankar, Pather Panchali, etc., that happened at that time. And Harshal here, who's on our advisory board, was saying how they have just done a karaoke session for 3 hours for songs around her. So I'm going to embarrass you, Sharmaji, but we have grown up around you, surrounded by your presence in movies and theaters, and in ways that I think you can hardly imagine in terms of how you've touched our lives, and how we have pretended to be, perhaps take on different avatars in our younger lives, watching you in the movies. So it's absolutely an honor and a delight to have you here, helping us at HelpAge, and to be here with you. Very briefly, she's a national award-winning artist. Remarkable body of work of films is Aradhna, Amar Prem, Kashmir Ki Kali, Daag, Mausam, Chupke Chupke, more recently Gulmohar, and followed by her critical acclaimed performance in uh, Puratawan. I'll get the words wrong. I'll get the words right next time. Uh, Beyond the silver screen, she has given her voice to causes that matter. As the honorary brand ambassador of HelpAge India and AFHI, she has been a passionate advocate for the dignity and well-being of older persons, helping bring greater attention to the opportunities and challenges of an aging society. Honestly, it's such a huge privilege to be able to do this, Shamraji. I hope I do it well, but we all remain in awe and admiration of your accomplishment and your remarkable journey. Thank you for being here for
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for such very kind words.
No, it's
The
a
word is Puraton.
Puraton.
Means, yes, old.
Yes.
Yes. Very
you've had-
pertinent to our conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit because it's a very recent film, right? In 2025 is when it came out. So, and it's remarkable. I haven't seen it, and the moment, and obviously this is a reminder that I need to go and see it, and which I will when I get back. But tell me, a lifetime of extraordinary achievements and lived experiences. What does this chapter of your life look like at this point in time? How do you keep yourself active physically, mentally, socially? What does life look like nowadays? How fulfilling, how rich is it?
It looks, it feels very good at the moment because, my children, my grandchildren, and surrounded with friends and a lovely home. I am very grateful that I'm at a stage of my life where I'm really, it's a big word, but I feel content and happy. And I'm still involved with a lot of work. Like, for instance, HelpAge gives me a platform, gives me an opportunity to help in whatever way I can. And there are other organizations also that I'm involved with. So I would say that I'm in a good place and feeling grateful that I'm where I am.
And you have a rich family. I mean, I don't mean rich in monetary terms at all, but you have a wealth of family relations, etc., which must be extraordinarily fulfilling to watch them grow up and do all the things that they're doing. That
True.
must be a hugely satisfying part of life.
True. Surrounded by young people. My youngest grandchild is just about, I don't know, I forget, about 5 or something. And the oldest is about 18 or 19. So, yeah, so it's very nice. And
Yes.
the youngest one is Inaya also. Inaya is about 9 years old. That is Sohas.
Yes.
So it feels good to see this generation growing up with very good parenting. Unlike I, who was very busy with work, hardly found time to be home. At least with self, I was totally absent, really. But these children are really take parenting very seriously, and they're so much better than I.
Well, I'm not sure how true that might be, but it's wonderful to hear you say that. And yes, I agree. This generation of parents actually are fantastic in terms of the way they think about looking after their children. Really quite different. We were all very tied up with our work. You're absolutely right. So was I. So many of our supporters tonight are part of the diaspora, living far away from their parents, especially here in America, living far away from their parents and grandparents in India. What do you think is some of their biggest challenges that they face in caring from a distance? I have a lot of friends who are now constantly going back and forth because their parents are going older, they need to be looked after, and yet somehow it feels insufficient in many ways, or perhaps worrying in terms of are they getting the right care. So what are some of the biggest challenges here, do you think?
It is exactly what you said. It's the distance. I mean, of course, we have all these wonderful, there's Skype and Zoom and various ways of keeping in touch. but it's not like a hug. It's not like a physical contact. It's not sort of feeling that you're together. So, but it is what it is. It can't be really helped. People are working. They are spread out everywhere. They have young to look after. They have themselves to look after, and then they have their aged parents. So I think we have to be accepting of our neighbors. Like my mother, I encouraged her to make, well, she didn't need much encouragement, to meet younger people, who are around us, and, keep in touch, because, somebody would send her whatever new was cooked in the house. They would send it to my mother. Somebody else kept her keys. So there was that kind of support, at least in India. I remember uh, in England, in London, I think I was visiting somebody, and I rang the bell, and I was waiting for the lift to come down, and the door opened, and a lady came out, elderly lady, and she said, where are you going? Can I guide you somewhere? And, chatted with me till the lift was there. And I realized that how lonely she must be.
Yes.
She's standing near the door, and every time the bell rings, she's talking, because you can't even talk to anybody, unless you go out shopping and talk to the. So I think we are much better off in our country, that we have our neighbors and we have lots of people, we have our staff that we can talk to. Yeah. So
Yes. Although sadly, a large portion of the elderly population doesn't have that kind of access, of course,
I understand.
and they are alone, and they are also lonely. And our cities, unfortunately, are also turning into some lonely hubs, I think. But nothing like, I appreciate what you're saying about living in London. I'm in New York right now. I've been in this building for 25 years. I don't think I know my neighbors, even if I ran into them. But in India, the population issues are very significant for the elderly at this point in time. As you think about, and I think the words that you said is wonderful, is that technology can't give you a hug.
Yeah.
Technology can do a lot, but it's not going to give you a hug. And a hug is what you need the most.
Yes, the touching. Yes. Yeah.
The touching, the feeling, the emotional connect is not something you can do adequately over a Zoom call. There's often an emotional longing that comes with distance. In your recent film that you were talking about, that you played the role of an 80-year-old woman dealing with the early onset of Alzheimer's, and her daughter, visits her at her ancestral home for her 80th birthday, only to discover that her mother is suffering. She's overcome with a sense of guilt and responsibility and is at constant war with herself. Many of our audience members here may have similar experiences and may feel similarly guilt. I don't want to call it guilt-ridden, may feel similarly worried and physically missing from the presence of their parents. I certainly know quite a few people whose parents live alone in India, and these are the richer people. The Indian diaspora, as you know, in America is the richest community of all types and carries a lot of wealth. And yet it isn't in touching distance with many of its parents. And so the love is there, but it is hard. It is a tough balance at both ends. How do you navigate that distance? How would you suggest they think about navigating that distance? Because all these adult children, especially in the US, may have many, many reasons to worry about the fact that their parents are alone and they can't adequately look after themselves at that point in time. It's a huge need.
Even the elders don't really want to leave India and go all that way, and they feel that they're unsettled there. You need a car to go out. You're living in kind of isolated places. Children go out to work, and how much of television can you see? Whereas here we have staff that we can talk to. There are some people who take care of us and they become almost like a family member. Then we have our neighbors. Everybody knows their neighbors. We chat, and there are lots of people here. So that kind of helps. So I think it's a difficult decision, very difficult decision. So I know the children make an effort and they come home to meet their parents. And the parents sometimes can't travel. Even they make an effort. Maybe you can meet halfway somewhere in Dubai or somewhere. The people make a lot of effort. But that's the way it is. That's the way the life is today. So guilt is a bad word. There's no point feeling guilty. So I think
Yes.
parents also understand and they reach out to others. It's not like having your own children, being there. But it is what
Yeah.
it is, I said. So you have to make the best of it. And people do.
Yes, you do. You do. If I may, the only area where I would think, for the vast elderly, they
Hmm.
don't have the money to travel. They don't have the money to do any
True.
of these things,
True.
And so I just keep coming back to the people we serve at HelpAge who are
Yes.
destitute, who are handicapped, they have health issues, they have all of those issues. So for them, it becomes, a particularly trying phase of life, where even one of the things we have seen in India, while we are all aware and love the Indian family tradition that we have seen enough causes, I think Rohit and others will tell you, where frankly the elderly are left to fend for themselves because they're not economically able to look after them. A family can't. And I think you get many issues like that. Plus, I think as parents get elderly, yes, many people can connect, but I think many people, others in big cities, smaller cities, actually can't connect, get to the hospital in time, get to the doctor. What happens if
I
that?
hear you when you say that people are economically, they're in a difficult position. But there are emotions also amongst the
Yes.
underprivileged section. So there
Yes.
are neighbors, there are people who take care of each other. And I've seen that, wherever there is. Of course, money is a very important thing for getting admission in hospitals and all that. But places like AIMS, and everybody has somebody they know. Your
Yes.
friend or your neighbor will know somebody who will help. Like we are constantly, we are aware of uh, somebody in need of help, and
Around us.
people are helping each other. It's
Yeah.
not the same thing, but as you say, that people who are certain section of that society who are not economically very well off. But even you'll find there is a young person who will help them, or there's somebody. So that in India is still that kind of loneliness um, perhaps is not there, which is there in the bigger cities. But you know best because you're dealing with it all the time, perhaps better than I. But
No.
HelpAge is doing a wonderful work. I must say, ever since I've been involved with HelpAge, I see the kind of work and the opportunities there are to help and to be there and to fill in that kind of gap, But more importantly than I going and visiting them, I can do that, and if they've seen films and they can connect with that, they might be happy. But it's better to bring maybe one can have these some kind of event or fun things in the neighborhood and bring the elderly together with the younger people. That kind of introducing one to the other in a vast city. Because after all, you need your neighbors and you need
Yes.
people who stay close by to take you to the hospital or, when you need them.
Yes.
From an elderly person's point of view.
Well, the community, in fact, is the biggest help there
Yes.
because unfortunately our health infrastructure isn't really as strong as it needs to be, particularly in smaller towns and districts. So the community does come together. But the other question I would love to ask you is around how do you think people can be, India is aging rapidly. And how can the Indian community here help in building a more age inclusive society? I'm appealing to the diaspora here through you, if I may. And what do you think they can do to really help this cause? Because we need so much more help. We
They
could do
can
with so
help
much.
in an enormous way in many aspects. Like, for instance, this place for seniors, residential places for seniors. Now, India, they're coming up with that kind of place. If they can support that initiative and it would help a lot, not the upper end like Antara and others, but for people who really need to.
That's right.
Kind of medical help, residential where they can stay, that kind of help if they do,
Yes.
it would be a wonderful thing, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm?
What does, let me switch it around a little bit. Our theme tonight is aging with dignity. And so, what does dignity mean to you personally at this stage in life? That would be a very interesting question as to how it affects people.
Its ability to make choices, I think.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So
Wonderful.
I think in a sense of self-respect, and then if you don't have the ability to choose or express what you want to say, then you're not, not getting what you want to get. So I think
Yeah.
that self-respect and choices are important for the elderly. Because they're constantly doing things for other people, I think, and especially because they feel so vulnerable. They do feel vulnerable. So they, have to please others, or I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen up close. I don't have any anecdotes like that, but I feel that they might feel vulnerable. So I think that to make them more safe, more engaging, one can have events, something joyful happening in the vicinity where they can participate, that kind of to cheer them up, basically.
Yes. I think your
Not
choice
just
of words
puja
of
part,
saying,
but beyond that.
yes, right. Your words about being ability to make choices, I think, is
Yes.
very wise, very great amount of wisdom in those few words. Last one, I know Shweta is going to rush me along here any minute now. But if you could speak directly to a fellow senior, someone perhaps feeling isolated, some or unsure how to embrace this stage of life, what would you tell them? What advice could you give them yourself? Because you're the epitome of aging with grace. But how should they embrace it? Because I do meet. I'll be honest. I do meet. I have a very large family. I have 55 first cousins.
Wow.
We're all hitting.
That's terrific. Yeah.
Good Punjabi family, Khanna Kapoors. Many of us are hitting 75, 80, 85, etc. And they're all thinking about how do we live our life. We are fortunate. We have, we represent a very small portion of India. But I see many others who are growing old and worrying about who will look after us. Will the children be there? How do we live our life without feeling isolated and without feeling so unsure? What advice could you give them, Sharmila?
I think there should be more conversations around this. More conversations and more. I think that way we will know. And of course, one to one, if it's possible, one can talk to them. And mostly, I think people want to be noticed, want to be just have fun, really. I mean, just to meet each other. But mainly, there has to be more conversations around them. They shouldn't be invisible, and we should engage. I don't think enough is being done. I mean, more needs to be done. And also, residential places for elders.
People, yes.
That's also, I mean, within whatever financial, whatever, teaching level, there should be residential places, which is where they're looked after well, medical facilities and the enjoyment facility, because sometimes the elders don't like to be only with the elders. They want younger people to visit them. So some kind of conversation and more research and, I mean, not take forever, but do something, but keeping that in mind, what their needs are. So there should be some more residential accommodation for these people.
Yeah. I agree with you entirely. I think the interaction for the elderly with younger people is revitalizing, is re-energizing. I certainly see that in many of the people that we know or interact with. My last question is a little more personal. if your grandmother could see her generation's idea of growing old has evolved into what it is today, what do you think would surprise her the most? And as what is the one thing about how you or she dealt with age that you'd most want your grandchildren to carry forward?
Oh, my grandmother was an institution. She was a matriarch. She controlled everybody, and we just loved her. And was, we uh, she was very good with crochet. So we asked her to make some crochet. She even make a crochet tablecloth for me. You know what a crochet is, not that.
Yes, yes.
So so she was very good at that, and she made napkins and this, that, and the other tablecloth. So we would sell them and give her money, which was her own earned money, and that made her so happy. And she was very confident. Like she would walk into a place and she didn't have any English. She'll talk to them in Bengali and expect it to be understood, and they did understand her. So she was didn't have these, wanting to be better or her, because we all loved her and respected her. And she was, I mean, her handwritten recipes are the best possession that I have. So, and she lived in that atmosphere for a very long time. She was married at the age of 5, but of course, sent
Wow.
her husband at the age of, when she first child was the age of 15. So that was a different world. And
Yes.
and she was no way a poor lady who lived. She was very happy, and she controlled her bahus with a stern hand. Yes. But I understand there are a lot of people. It depends on many things. I think uh, the head of the family, how he is, how's he's looking, what the family is all about. So yes, I mean, somewhere women are really neglected. So whoever earns the money has the upper hand.
Yes.
So I think more and more women are earning now, and with their financial independence comes more respect.
Yes. What would you tell your grandchildren? That'll be my last question. What would you like them to?
So there's more than telling, it's by example, really.
Yes.
They don't hear so much as they remember what they see. And, if Saif respects me, or if my children treat me in a particular way, so I'm Bari Amma to all of them. So they're quite, very sweet to me, and, know when to stop, when not, So I think they're doing well, and we are doing well. But it's a learning process with young people. You have to also keep up with them and be of interest to them.
Yes.
So they don't find you too boring and too passe.
Well, thank you for this wonderful, wonderful, warm, insightful, wonderful discussion that we've just had. I think, I've met some of your children briefly, and the elegance with which they behave and the way they treat guests is unparalleled, I must tell you. So I think the way you brought them up is quite fantastic. It's very unusual.
Well, thank you. We are blessed. Thank you.
And I
Thank
hope
you
that
very
will
much.
carry on. But I think your words around technology doesn't give a hug is very powerful. Children remember what they see, the examples we set, they will follow what is acceptable, what is not, and the ability to make choices to living with dignity. I think these are very important.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being our ambassador. You are phenomenal. Everybody has huge admiration for you. And thank you for being here to support our cause.
And
Really,
thank you,
really.
Pramod, for saying all the right things. But I'm very happy to be involved with HelpAge, and I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Shweta, may I turn it back to you?
Thank you, Pramod, and thank you, Sharmilaji. That conversation is exactly why we are all here today. As a tribute to Sharmilaji, may I request our team to play a small video for her?
Thank you. Wonderful. Very good.
Stunning. I'll
Very
never
good.
forget that theme, Sharmila. Never. It's so powerful from your earliest films. Sorry, Shweta, please. I'm delaying
No,
you.
that video was so touching. To move forward, now I want to bring in someone who sees the on the ground reality of our mission every single day. Rohit Prasad is the Chief Executive Officer of HelpAge India, headquartered in Delhi, and he leads the work in the field. The mobile healthcare units, the elder self help groups, the physiotherapy clinics. We have talked about it and much more. Welcome, Rohit. Tell us what this past year has actually looked like. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shweta. Greetings, everyone. Namaste, everyone. Let me just begin by expressing my gratitude to all of you who have remained steadfast supporters of the cause of the older persons, and also welcome those who are joining us today to learn about aging and elder care. Before I go on to what I have to say, Pramod, you mentioned about HelpAge, and Kiran, you talked about HelpAge. And as an organization, we do our best, but we are also privileged and honored to be guided by stalwarts and leaders like you, Kiran, Pramod, Harshul, and many others who are part of our governing body, both at AFHI and at HelpAge India. So thank you very much for your guidance and support. When we speak about aging, we often talk about numbers, and we did talk about some years of lifespan or life expectancy, health span, and so on. But behind every statistic, as we see as in our work, there is a human story. Someone's father, mother, grandparent, teacher, farmer, worker, or a neighbor. And aging is not experienced equally. The quality of life in later years is shaped not only by the individual's health and financial condition, but also by the environment in which they age, the family support. And Sharmila ji was talking about how the family situation is changing, community connections, access to services, and opportunities for participation. And indeed, also where they age, whether in rural areas or urban. For many in India, aging is accompanied by declining health, financial insecurity, loneliness, limited mobility, and increasing inclusion. I'm reminded of what Mahatma Gandhi once said, that recall the face of the poorest and the weakest person whom you may have seen and ask yourself if your work is of any use to them. On similar lines, I often ask myself, and we ask as a team, that who would be considered the most vulnerable elder today? And perhaps, just one articulation, it is an 80-year-old widow living alone in a rural village, struggling with poor health, limited income, and little support. The point I'm trying to make is that vulnerabilities rarely occur in isolation, and we see this all the time. For many older persons, poverty, poor health, loneliness, gender, and geography intersect and reinforce one another. But as a country, we talked about the family values and tradition. Sharmilaji mentioned to that we are absolutely privileged to have a very strong foundational base of values for elder care. Our government has also started taking up elder care as an important aspect, and several programs have recently been launched for that. At Helpage India, we try and do our bit, and our mission is to support disadvantaged older persons through direct services, stronger systems, research, and advocacy that drive lasting change. Last year, through our programs, we reached more than 2 million older persons, and Pramod, you were right in that range. But increasingly, we want to reach, as you mentioned, many more. And we aim to do over the next 3 years, at least reach 5 million older persons. But importantly, the ones that we reach out to, 90% are poor, 75% in rural areas, and nearly two-thirds were women. Now, let me try and bring out to all of you or illustrate what dignity in later life looks like in practice. And this I'll do through three dimensions of our work: health, care and independence, and inclusion. So we know that aging often brings health challenges, and we see this in rising chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension. We know that. Yet for millions, healthcare remains not only physically distant, but also very financially difficult to access. In the AFHI annual report that you will be able to see out on our website, we have shared the story of Baban Singh, a 73-year-old widower from rural Bihar. For years, he lived with chronic joint pain and severe asthma. The nearest health facility was miles away, and he simply endured his suffering. So when Helpage India launched its mobile healthcare unit and it arrived at a nearby village, he was able to access free medical consultation and medicines. Today, his pain is manageable, his breathing has improved, and life is better. But what changed his life was not sophisticated technology or a very sophisticated intervention. It was something much simpler. Healthcare reaching him before illness defeated him. So we often talk about the last mile in development. It is often referred to. For the elderly, with all the challenges that they have, that last mile can become the longest and possibly the most difficult mile. So today, as Pramod mentioned, our network of 150 mobile health units is delivering treatments to more than 1 million elders. In addition, we started our recent Telehealth for Elders program, a technology-backed, but elders customized, because elders need the full cycle in terms of medicines and other development. And we have reached to more than 100,000 older persons in remote villages and communities, and we want to ramp that up very quickly. We also started mental health and palliative care programs. I quickly wanted to talk about another often overlooked aspect of dignity, and that is functional ability. The ability to see, hear, move, and live independently. Sharmilaji mentioned about the choices and the voices. So under our vision restoration program, last year we supported more than 37,000 cataract surgeries and 13,000 vision correction interventions. So sometimes, and this is something that intrigues, sometimes a simple pair of eyeglasses just for $5 can restore not just sight, but confidence, livelihood, and independence. And the same is true for all assistive tech and aids. A national study indicated that 44% of elderly face functional disabilities, but over 90% from the unorganized sector cannot afford them. So while health is essential, dignity extends beyond medical care. It's also about connectedness, belonging, support, and the ability to be engaged in everyday life. And not every older person has the privilege of aging at home. Sharmilaji was talking about residences for homes for older people. Some face abandonment, abuse, homelessness, or isolation, and this is unfortunately increasing. We do a study on elder abuse every year. So through our senior care homes, active aging centers, elder helplines, and hospital help desks, we try to ensure that older persons continue to receive care, companionship, and support when they need most. Each year, our helpline support nearly 150,000 older persons and hospital help desks, which help navigate the elderly through the tertiary care facility, assist over 100,000. But dignity, again, is not only about receiving support. It is also about remaining productive and respected. Consider Muthu Lakshmi, whom again we have mentioned in our report, affectionately known as Idli Amma from Tamil Nadu. Through an elder self-help group, she accessed a small loan, started an idli batter enterprise, and improved her household's economic situation. Today, she earns an income and enjoys renewed confidence and, most importantly, respect. So across India, our elder self-help groups support more than 40,000 rural older persons, and most of them women, helping them build livelihood, social capital, and self-reliance. So we know that increasingly in the current age, inclusion and connectedness matters. And Sharmila ji, you mentioned about conversations, more connectedness. And this is manifested in the newest dimension of digital inclusion. So while digital mode is being everywhere, many older persons risk being left behind. And we see that happening all the time, and particularly so older women. So through our digital literacy programs, a simple custom module that we have developed, elders learn to use smartphones, access services, protect themselves from fraud, the cyber fraud, which is so very prevalent. Last year, we helped over 70,000 older persons engage more confidently. So the outcome is not merely digital literacy. It is confidence, independence, and participation. So in closing, let me end with a simple thought. Aging with dignity is not something older persons alone aspire to. It is something all of us hope for ourselves, our future selves, and for those we love. So aging well should not be a privilege only available to few. So at Helpage India, we strive to be a bridge between vulnerability and opportunity, between exclusion and inclusion, and ultimately between dependence and dignity. We see that change every day. Every healthcare visit that relieves suffering, every restored vision that rekindles independence, every livelihood opportunity that renews purpose, and every helpline call that reassures a lonely elder that they are not alone. They are the moments in which dignity is restored. So we look forward to your partnership, all your partnership and support as we work together to build an India where every older person can age with dignity, independence, and hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rohit. That's the work our community makes possible, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. Now, I want to turn to someone who understands the diaspora experience from the inside, the distance, the guilt of not being there, and also the very real ways we can stay connected and show up for our elders from afar. Harshul Asnani is president of Tech Mahindra Europe based in London, and he is also a member of American Friends of Helpage India's Advisory Council. Please welcome Harshul.
Harshul, you're
Harshul, you are
mute.
on mute.
I'm so sorry. Is it, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, no, so I was saying, no, thanks, Shweta, for having me for a topic which I'm sure is close to the hearts of every diaspora member. So I'll spend the next 8 to 10 minutes to really talk about the distance that we carry from our home country and what this distance quietly but constantly does to our connection with our roots. And also, equally important, how can we support the elders in our lives from thousands of miles away? Some of these aspects have been covered by Sharmila ji and Pramod and Kiran and Rohit. And honestly, coming after Sharmila ji, it's a tough act to follow. But let me start with the distance and connection. For the diaspora, honestly, distance can complicate caregiving for elders. Uh, but it does not diminish the love. It does not weaken the responsibility. And it definitely does not erase the bonds that define who we are. I mean, we build our careers, our families, our futures in new countries, while our roots, our elders, and our memories stay behind thousands of miles away. If you think about it, this distance is actually more than just physical distance. it's an emotional distance. And in my view, it's also a moral distance as well. But the bigger question underneath everything that we are discussing today, and I think Pramod brought this up very, very well, was what does it actually mean to grow old with dignity? Well, we got some answers from Sharmila ji when she said that it's the ability to make choices. If I were to just build on it, I would say dignity in old age is being seen, not just being checked on. No, it's about being useful. It's about having a role to play. It's about having an opinion. It's about being heard. It's about uh, having a reason to get up in the morning and looking forward to something. And honestly, it's also about being unafraid of tomorrow, knowing that if your body fails you, someone will show up. Honestly, that's the whole ask. And yet, so many of our elders, uh, even this modest ask is completely out of reach. And when you're poor, when you're underprivileged, this only accentuates further. Now we constantly get told the stories about modern India and how the world's youngest large nation is likely to grow so rapidly. It's an economy built on youth, but very few people talk about that 150 million odd Indians that are already above 65. And the fact that this number has grown at an, in some sense, an alarming rate. It's the fastest growth rate of elderly people in the world. Uh, I believe the last 10 years, 40%, Rohit has the data, but more than 40% growth the last decade in terms of elderly in India. And by 2050, there'll be 350 million people, as Kiran said. That's more than the entire population of United States today. I often get drawn to Dr. Atul Gawande, the famous doctor and the prolific author. He makes a point that I think about quite often. He says that medicine has become extraordinarily advanced today at treating diseases, but honestly, it hasn't learned how to deal with person's decline, which is inevitable in old age. He says that what someone really needs in their final years, the final chapter of their life, it's not just medicine. They need a life with meaning, a life to live on their own terms, as long as it lasts. Here's the part that we don't talk about often, and which is that, and I think Rohit did mention that old age does not fall evenly on everyone. If you have the money, aging might mean it happens at a much slower pace for you. You can have a private caregiver. You can have great nutrition and dietary options. You can have a great hospital and a battery of doctors on speed dial. But today, unfortunately, a huge number of India's elderly, especially in rural India, especially widows, especially the ones without pension and without any property in the name, this aging is not a gentle decline. It is in fact a very precarious decline that they're facing. And unfortunately, the stark reality for many people in India, either they have to choose between uh, buying medicine or buying meal. It's about loneliness when no one is there to check in on them. So honestly, poverty doesn't just make old age harder. I believe it's poverty. It can just strip it of dignity entirely. So with that, I mull over the question, what can all of us actually do? And we did find some thoughts and answers over the last 1 hour or so that we have been talking. So I think diaspora can play a big role, right? Beyond just feeling guilty of being so far and beyond just sending money home, I think the global diaspora, I believe, is a very extraordinary bunch of people. We are leaders, we are innovators, entrepreneurs, we carry an influence, we carry a network that spans continents. And we have shown again and again that when we choose to act collectively, say for upliftment of education in India or for disaster relief like it happened during COVID, right? The diaspora came in and they could move mountains. And I believe the problems associated with aging in India, particularly with the poor, deserves the same level of collective action. And in addition to what Sharmila ji also said in terms of building residences, etc., I would propose more advocacy for stronger policies for elderly in India. I think the diaspora does have a soft power. They can do a lot to help support and a stronger advocacy. And I would unabashedly propose putting resources behind organizations like HelpAge that are already doing such phenomenal work in villages and towns and where we can't reach directly ourselves. I know there's a reason why HelpAge's work resonates with me so deeply. This is an organization that understands something very deeply fundamental. That aging isn't just a stage of life. It's like a human right. It's a commitment to. It's their very deep commitment to rural communities where support systems are fragile, and for most times they simply don't exist. HelpAge steps into these kind of gaps and very quietly, very consistently, very compassionately for over 45 years. And my association with HelpAge has been about 3-4 years now. And just because their mission really mirrors something that I believe in deeply, which is, I feel that a society is measured not by how it treats its most powerful, but how it treats its oldest people. And I would like to end with a quote by Hubert Humphrey, the American statesman, who said something similar. He said, "The moral test of a government is how it treats who are in the dawn of their life, which is children, and those who are in the twilight of their life, which is elderly." And I deeply resonate with this because I believe that aging should not be thought of as a burden. It should be thought of as a legacy to be cherished, honestly. And how we treat that legacy will say more about us as individuals, as a diaspora, and as a civilization than anything else that we can ever think of building in our lifetimes. So with that, thanks for having me, Shweta, and back to you.
Thank you, Harshal. I think a lot of us in this audience recognized ourselves in what you just described. To close out our panel, I want to zoom out a little. Alex Counts is the executive director of the India Philanthropy Alliance in the United States, and he has spent his career thinking about philanthropy at scale, what it means and what makes it work, and where diaspora giving fits into the larger picture. Alex, we would love your perspective. Over to you.
Well, thank you. I've learned so much today, and I just want to commend American Friends of HelpAge India for this report, for the video, which was excellent, and just for your work, important work throughout India and mobilizing allies here in the United States. I also want to thank you for being part of India Giving Day, our annual campaign that comes in March, a time that's usually very slow for fundraising. We're trying to make a highlight of the calendar for Americans who care about India, whether they're part of the diaspora or people like me who care about India for other reasons. The India Philanthropy Alliance was launched in 2018 with 11 groups who decided that we wanted to grow the market for philanthropy to India from America. We thought we could do it better together than in an isolated way. We're now 26 groups and we're growing to 30. We hope American Friends of HelpAge India will be part of that as we grow to 30 organizations by the end of the year. Let me briefly talk about my own experience. I have six parents, step-parents, and in-laws. 2 of them are still alive. And one of them lives at home and has sufficient financial resources. The other cannot live at home and has dwindling financial resources. And the differences between those 2 situations is very stark. The emotional issues for those of us who are the children are very real. And the decision whether to engage or disengage and how to engage are among the most important and difficult of my life. Now, when I talk to people who are from the Indian diaspora in the US, I hear them say one thing very commonly, which is that I feel like I want to give back to education in India. And I ask why. And they say, that I was educated for very little money in India when I was growing up, high quality education. And I use that education to be successful here in America. So I want to give back to education so that people can have the things that I valued growing up and was able to get for free. And then when you go a little deeper and you say, well, tell me more about what motivates you, what shaped you as a human being, they talk about their parents. And they talk about the values their parents brought to them. And so I think that gratitude to the parents and to thinking about them as they aged, for those who are still alive or those who are not, but to think about the question more generally of parents who are aging and their needs is a natural for Indian American philanthropists, based on that, the fact that the gratitude for the education, which was received cheaply, and the gratitude for parenting, which was given for free and with great love and care. Now, when IPA was forming, we did a survey of Indian American philanthropy. We found there was about $1 to $2 billion to all causes in 2018. We did a second survey and found that by 2024, that had grown to between 4 and 5 billion. So that's significant growth. And we believe that IPA has been one of the reasons for that growth, but we don't think it needs to end there. In fact, it must not end there. We think diaspora philanthropy can and should and must grow to $10 billion in the next 5 years, more than doubling what it is now. And if we can do that, I would fully expect that American Friends of Help Age India and other great nonprofits would share in that, would be able to grow and meet more needs. And each of us has an important role to play in ensuring that growth in the amount of philanthropy and the quality of philanthropy and the impact of philanthropy. So thanks for having me and having IPA represented as part of this wonderful online gathering.
Thank you so much, Alex. Rohit, Harshal, Alex, thank you again. And to Sharmila ji and Pramod, thank you for a conversation that I think will stay with a lot of us today. Here's what I keep coming back to. Aging with dignity isn't an abstract idea. It's a mobile health unit reaching a village outside Chennai. It's a digital literacy class in Bengaluru helping someone's grandmother video call her family for the first time. It's someone showing up, not despite the distance, but because of it. That's what American Friends of Helpage India exists to do, to close the distance between where you are and where your generosity is needed most. If today's conversation moved you a little, I would ask you to do one simple thing before you close this window. Take out your phone and scan the QR code on the screen. It takes 30 seconds, and every gift, no matter the size, goes directly toward the work you just heard about. In the meantime, if you have any questions to our panelists, I would request you to send us to this email address contact@af-hi.org, and someone from our team will get back to you. On behalf of everyone at American Friends of Helpage India, thank you for being there today and caring about our elders and for being part of this with us. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Shweta.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.